Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Natalie Jade. I post videos over here 3 times a week, and I do have a vlogging channel too, as well as uploading daily on TikTok. So I hope you're doing very, very well today. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to get a flawless makeup base. I have had so many questions on TikTok, Instagram, my little Q&A things. I've just had so many questions recently on how to get a nice makeup base. Personally, I feel like there is a lot of different factors that go into this, and not everybody will be the same. But I wanted to sit down and give you my top tips, how I do my makeup, and just have a little chat about it really, and show you the products that I use, the techniques I use, things like that. But I just want to get started with today's video, so I hope you'll enjoy this. If you do, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button, as well as leave me a lovely little comment below, and do subscribe to my channel because it means so much to me. But let's get started. So as I said, a lot of people have been asking me how I do my makeup, what's the best base products to use, how you do it, things like that. I've had so many questions. I thought it'd be easy to just sit down in a video and just talk it through and just do one step at a time. So before we start with any makeup at all, I always like to cleanse my face before I put anything on my skin. Even if you think your face is clean, like even if you've had a shower, there will still be things that come off. Like, it is ridiculous how much can actually just get stuck on your skin. So I'm going to cleanse my skin. I'm using the Garnier cleanser. This is literally just one of the micellar water ones. I'm just making sure I get all of my skin, just being really nice and gentle. I'm not tugging at it at all, I'm just being really gentle, just making sure I get everything. I know it's gross, but look at that. I have already cleansed my face today. I had a shower last night and I've cleansed, and it's still getting things off my skin. So it's really important to make sure you are cleansing, things like that. So that step is now done. I like to do a little bit of skincare, but not a lot, because I feel like if I use a lot, like loads of different serums and oils and things like that, it does kind of like break through underneath my makeup sometimes. Can make my makeup look quite oily, because I can get oily skin. My skin's quite combination skin, which is quite good because I can relate to different people. However, it's quite difficult because I get like really dry patches, but then I also get really oily patches, and it's just kind of difficult sometimes to balance out. But that's what I do to start off with, is that. So after I've cleansed my face, I then like to go in with my facial moisturiser. The one that I'm using at the moment quite a lot is the Florence by Mills one. This is the Dreamy Dew facial moisturiser. Get some of this onto my hands. I like this one because it's really, really thick. It kind of feels like it's a primer before my primer, but it's really, really nice. Moisturising and really, really thick. It smells like cucumber. Let's apply this all over my skin. It does feel so refreshing. It's quite a cooling one as well, so it helps like depuff, things like that. One thing I'd like to do in my like pre-makeup routine in the future is start to use like ice rollers and like depuff my face beforehand, because I think that would really help. Especially like with my under eyes, like how puffy they get. I think that would really help. Talking about under eyes, that is now my next step. So I've actually got a product that I do really like. This is by Ariane Beauty, which is Ariana's skincare and makeup line. And I'm just going to open it up. So it's her eye cream, and it is so bizarre, but I really, really like it. I do really like it, but it is a rather expensive one. So this is what it looks like when you get it inside, and it's like an iced kind of gel. I don't know, it's really weird. Let's get some on my finger and then just stick some under my eye. It's supposed to be good for your under eyes, puffiness, all that kind of thing. It's supposed to be a cooling, hydrating gel, I think, as well. It is a rather expensive product, like I said, but my under eyes are my biggest insecurity. I was very lucky to get this as a Christmas present from my mum. So now that that's all applied, I let all that kind of sink in for a minute before I move on. So after I've done that, I like to go in with a primer. So usually the primer I use is actually one that I don't have anymore, so I'm gonna have to buy another one. So the primer I normally use is the Super Matte Primer by Revolution. This is insane. It is beautiful. It has such a gorgeous texture. It is just such a nice product. So it's got this little pumping dispenser to get it out. Really, really like this. Is my second bottle now that I've emptied. I literally couldn't get the tiniest bit out just for this video. I even tried my old one as well, because I've got these save for an empties videos soon, so I've tried to scoop out as much as I can, but I just can't get enough for my full face. So instead I am going to be swapping it over, but that's literally £4 is that primer. It does last a long time and it is extremely good quality, so I would definitely recommend that one. Another primer that I quite liked was the Beauty Bay, the face primer by them. It was like a stick and it was really nice. It's their blur primer, which I do like. However, it didn't last me that long. I don't know if it's because I used it so often because of my job, because I do this for like a living, or if it's just it didn't have as much product in, but I did really like that one. The one we're going to use today is the Revolution Pro Perfecting Featherweight Primer. This is nice. It's one of their pro ones, but it's like the yellow bottle instead. I have used this quite a lot, and this is probably one of my first primers I ever went out and bought. So I don't have loads left in it, but I do have enough left for another look. There we go. I do like to go a little bit heavier on the primer because I feel like it really smooths my skin out ready for the foundation. I always use my hands to apply primer with, nothing else. It's quite a thick one is this as well. It's very creamy. It's going to sound kind of gross, but you know if you get like a cream or like an ointment for an infection or sore or whatever, if you get like a cream or an ointment from the doctors, it's just like that, like, you know, Sudocreme. It literally feels like it's got the same texture as Sudocreme does, which is really strange. I feel like I'm putting Sudocreme on my face, but trust me, this primer really does work. I don't know what it is, but it just works wonders on the skin. So this is it now, all applied. I do like this one as well because you can see it, like when I'm showing you guys you can see it, but the other one's like clear so you can't actually see that I'm putting anything on my skin. Then I really gently start to rub this in to my skin and make sure it's applied everywhere. Literally all the way to the outskirts, because I feel like that's something that I never used to do. I just kind of stick some on and just like, yep, done. I wasn't very careful about applying it and where I was getting it. Like I wasn't getting my primer everywhere. It's making my skin underneath and my makeup on top like uneven. So make sure I'm really gently rubbing that in. And up to my forehead. I try not to put too much product on my forehead because that's the part that gets the greasiest out of my face. I feel like excess product's just going to kind of counteract that and make it even worse. But that is it now. It's all rubbed in and feels really nice. It does feel quite... Oh, the way I can describe it is like Sudocreme. It just feels quite like creamy and quite thick and really like it. Another one that I really like is the Yves Saint Laurent primer. That is beautiful. However, it's also extremely expensive. The dupe, I think, for that... I've got a couple of different ones. If you're looking like the actual looks wise dupe, it's more the 24 karat gold one by Revolution or the NYX gold one. But if you're looking for actual performance and feeling of the products, the best dupe for that I would say would be the IRL primer by Revolution. Love that so much. I've no idea where I put mine or I would have used it in this video, but I'm very unorganised lately. My office is just an absolute tip. There's just stuff everywhere. But moving on now. After that, I apply my foundation. The foundation that I am obsessed with and love to use is the IRL Revolution foundation, which is the same primer that I just told you about. I use this in 2 different shades. So when I'm like I am now and I look extremely pale and deathly, this is what I use, which is F7. However, when I've actually tanned and put a bit of effort into myself, which is hopefully what I'm going to do tonight or tomorrow, I'd use the F10 by Revolution. I love this one so much, but right now my skin would not match this, so we're not going to use that one. Going in with the F7. I like to use about 2.5 to 3 pumps of this, and I do think the amount of foundation you use is very important. Because if not, I look really cakey or really thin or not really blend out very well or just not work, if that makes sense. It just won't, yeah, it just won't look right. So I like to use my finger to apply it. I have used so many different techniques with foundation. I do think it's such a personal thing. It sounds stupid, but I do think it's such a personal thing with foundation that you need to have something that works for you, like a technique that works for you. Some people can't apply their makeup without a beauty blender. Some people use a flat brush. Some people use like more of a fluffy brush. Everybody's going to be different with what they like. For me, I like to apply it with my finger. And I like to get dots about 5 or 6 like on this side of my face there. Same thing on this side. I like to get one like really near my under eye to help the coverage there. And then just spread them around, like 1 dot on my chin and then down my nose, and then I do some on my forehead as well. Just little equal dots everywhere. I feel like it makes it easier to just blend it in this way as well, but this foundation is flawless. I personally prefer a matte base. I feel like it just works better with my skin. As I said, everybody's going to be different, so everyone's going to have different preferences, but for me, I do prefer a matte base. I feel like it works a lot better. So now I've got that all applied, I'm going to start to blend. Like I said, everybody has different blending preferences. For me, I find more of a fluffy brush, like a big face brush, really does help to blend it out more evenly and more flawlessly. So I've got quite a few different ones that I do like to use, but the one that I'm going to use today, which is my absolute favourite, is the Real Techniques 204 brush. So I'm just going to grab a mirror so I can actually see where I'm blending this in. But I'm actually going to bring you guys in a bit closer as well so you can see the blend of this better, because this is what it's looking like. And it just blends in like an absolute dream. Like, I'll just show you. Like, look at that. That literally transforms my skin within a matter of seconds. Just going to do the rest on the mirror so I can see it. But I do like to buff it in using one of these brushes. I feel like I've tried all the different techniques until I found the one that works for me, because I started off, I think, with a beauty blender. No, I didn't. I think I started off with a brush, but not one of these brushes. I started off with a brush like this. One of these flat ones. I started off with one of those. And it didn't really work for me. Like, I got the blend quite right and it just didn't sit right on my skin. And then after that, I tried out using a sponge, which was okay. But I just, yeah, again, it just wasn't the best. I feel like it soaked up quite a lot of the product. And not only that, I feel like it was a little bit streaky. But with this, I feel like it really does keep the coverage. It doesn't take up any of the product, but it also blends it out so flawlessly. You cannot see any lines or anything. I think another reason to do with that is having like the little dots, rather than doing like one blot and then like rubbing it around your face, like having the little bits, like blotting it around everywhere and then blending it, I think works a lot better, because I think it's just evens it out a lot more, less blending to do. It just works for me. But as I said, this won't work for everyone. Everybody will have different skin types, different everything, conditions that'll make it all different for everybody. But like I've always said, my biggest insecurity is my under eyes. Can you see how pale I look? But it really does match my skin, does that one? But yeah, my biggest insecurity has always been my under eyes, and it always will be, to be fair. So I don't like the way my under eyes look with any makeup on. But this is how my base is looking so far. Now we're moving on to concealer. So my ultimate favourite concealer has to be the e.l.f. So this is the e.l.f. Camo Coverage Concealer. I've got two out right now because they're both extremely empty. And can you tell it's not been payday for a while? These are both extremely empty and I've not got myself a new one yet. So I'm going to try to scrape as much out as I can of these. Use these absolutely every single day without fail. I've tried so many concealers, but this one I just go back to all the time. I love it. So it's the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Coverage Concealer. This is the matte finish. I've seen online that everyone's saying do not get the matte one, and the like dewy finish one is better. I've never tried the dewy one, but I love the matte one, so I kind of want to try it now. That might be the one I get next. I get this in the shade Medium Neutral. I'm just going to get a little bit out of here. I say a little bit because that's all there is left. And I'm going to apply a little bit there. Kind of just going down from my eye. Try to get some more out. I'm literally like scraping it against the sides of the bottle right now. And then put a little bit up there to kind of like lift. Yeah, get a little bit more. Do the same thing on this eye. Do you know what? I've actually done quite well. I've got a lot more product out there than I thought I was going to get. I might not even need to go in with the other one. And then a little bit of there to kind of like lift. So I'm not using a lot. I'm quite minimal with it, but I think it does work. I like to use a straight line down the centre of my nose. It really helps to sculpt it. I personally count my base makeup as all my skincare, like skin prep before it, foundation, primer, concealer, and then contour / bronzer. A lot of people wouldn't count that as like base makeup, but I personally do. Just because I feel like when I put like foundation and concealer and stuff on, my face feels so naked. Put a little bit of concealer there, not a lot, just a little bit to help with that sculpt. Make it a bit more light there. Underneath her we're gonna bronze. And now I'm just going to use a beauty blender to pat all this in apart from my under eyes. So I'm not just patting it in with a beauty blender there. But yeah, I personally like to have a bit of bronzer on after I've done the rest of my makeup, because otherwise I feel like I just look so pale and so unwell. So we are going to add that in, but that is going to be it after that, I think. I do quite like to use a brush for my under eyes. However, I don't know how well it's going to work, so I don't have loads of concealer under there, but we're gonna give it a go anyway. So I'm using this brush here. This is the buffing brush, is it? No, it's a Deluxe Crease brush by Real Techniques. I like to just kind of tap it out and work really gently and really slowly with my under eyes. I'm gonna need a little bit more product, I think. I'm gonna try put my brush in the bottle and see if I can do that and get anything out, because that might be kind of a good idea. No, it's not gonna fit. Let's just put it like round the edges and try to get any off the edges of it instead. There we go, it's so much better. I do quite like to use a powder to set my under eyes, but I would do this usually after some of my products. I've got my like cream bronzer or powder bronzer, but then I've also got my cream blush that I use quite a lot, so I like to use it after those. But as you can see, that's removed like the darkness under my eyes. I can see there's no darkness that's there, but you can still see that one crease. There's a crease there. That is because my eyes are puffy. That's nothing to do with the makeup. There's just not a lot I can do about that. It's just the way that I look and who I am. A lot of it is to do with like my allergies and stuff. I've got a lot of allergies, like to dust, animals, hair, all stuff like that. I read something online about using a darker coloured concealer in certain parts to help with like the puffiness. So I am going to try that at some point, but just not yet. So next we're going to go in with my contour now, because this is how my makeup's looking. So this is my base. See what I mean about like how flawless it can really look? We're literally just using a couple of skincare products, using the right kind of foundation, the right shade, the right blending, like what works for you. This works for me. But this, I would have dreamt for makeup like this like a year ago. I'm still not 100% happy with that. I feel like there's so many things I can still learn and practice and try. Like I said at the start of the video, I learn new stuff every day with makeup. Like I'm always learning and always trying with it. But yeah, I feel like it's important to just keep experimenting with new things and trying new things. But this is how it's looking. Now I'm going to go in with my bronzer. There are two very, very important products for me in this section, which is my brush. I always use the 002 brush. I used to always struggle with any sorts of bronzer or contour because I think it was the brush that I was using just wasn't right. It never looked right. It just looked so mucky. It just literally looked like I had like a mucky mark on my face and it didn't look right. I also never had the right shade of contour either. I always had more of an ashy tone and that just didn't work for my skin. The ashy tone just didn't work. However, I found the perfect combination. This brush, this bronzer, absolute perfection. So this is, I've literally got stickers all on the back of this. This is the Mega Bronzer in the shade 02 Warm, and it is vegan and cruelty free, which is what we love to see. I'm going to tap into this. You don't need a lot of product. You do not need much at all. And then you can see kind of like this line that goes like there. That's what I'm kind of going to follow. So apply like some here. So it's like that shadow you get on your face. Kind of start it there and end it there. I'm so sorry if you can hear my stomach. I'm really hungry. I had some pineapple for breakfast and now it's like getting to lunchtime and I'm kind of feeling hungry. So that, if you kind of have my head on like a bit of a tilt, you can see the lines kind of goes up towards your ear, like a little bit above your ear. Something like this side, if I kind of tilt my head, you can see that kind of shadow there. And I'm going to start to apply it there. Like that. So this is where it's going to be applied. And get a little bit more and then start to build it up. I do like to go quite light with my contour and then start to build. I feel like that's the best way for me. But again, everybody's going to have different preferences and different things that work for them. I'm also quite a patter as well. I'm not too much of a, you know, rubbing it in. I like to quite gently like pat it in because I feel like it just gives it more of a natural kind of look rather than it looking quite patchy and like rubbing that foundation around underneath. I like to be quite gentle with it. I don't like go really hard. Like I don't mind like a nice little circular movements, but you've got to be quite gentle with it. Again, this is all from my own opinion. I'm not a makeup artist. I just started makeup like a couple of years ago, or like 3 years ago or something, and found it fun online, and now I do it full time. So I'm not a makeup artist by any means. I've had a lot of questions about what I do personally, so I'm showing you guys what I do. So I like to just tap some in to my forehead and then I'll really gently do little circles to blend it out. I do think the forehead contour or bronzer, whatever you want to call it, is so important. I do think it's really important in a makeup step, especially for me. Like I feel like it really helps like shape my face a little bit more. So I'm going to keep blending with this, and I like to, it's a mistake that I used to make when I started makeup, is I'd apply some there, apply some here, apply to my forehead and that'd be, I'd not apply it anywhere else. And it just kind of didn't fit in with the rest of my look, if that made sense. So I'm going to start to bring it down and then join it with what we've already done. And then bring that up into my forehead so it just kind of all blends in together and kind of just all fits together, if that makes sense, so it doesn't just look a little bit weird. Now I'm pretty happy with how it's all kind of blended in. What I do like to do, which I've only started doing recently actually, is I like to go with my foundation brush that we've just used, and I pat really, really gently over the edges of where we've applied the product. If any of you know, here Louisa, know the 50-50 technique, which is having 50% of your brush on the product you've applied it, 50% on the skin you haven't applied it on, to help with the blending. That is literally what we're doing here, but with base makeup, not actual eye makeup. Just really gently doing that. I feel like it just helps it to just blend in a lot more and look a lot more natural, because it's how it's looking now. I really, really like it. I feel like it has really shaped my face a lot more. Just patting that around where I've applied that. So normally in a normal everyday makeup routine, I'd then go in with blush, I'd use highlight, then start on my eyes and then lips. But however, as this is just like a base makeup routine, I'm not going to be doing anything more than just this. But I really enjoyed this. I really hope you guys have too. If you've got any more questions or any more things you'd like to see me do, any more tutorials, things like that, please do let me know. But that was a video on how to get a flawless makeup base. And I just love my makeup base, I really do. I feel like it's taken me a long time to get it how I like it. But I feel like I'm finally there. Not everybody's going to like this. Everybody's going to have different opinions. Everyone's going to have different likes, different dislikes. Some people will love it. Some people will hate it. But that's okay, because makeup is so free. Anyone can do what they want and when they want it and how they want it. And that's what I love about makeup. So that is it, guys. That's my full video on how to get a flawless makeup base. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you have, please don't forget to smash that thumbs up button for me, as well as leave me a lovely little comment to read later on. Please do subscribe to my channel for more content just like this, because it really does help me out. But that is it for me for today, and I really hope to see you next time. Bye!